Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar this afternoon. My name is Gemma Connell, and I'm the Student Recruitment Manager for Europe. So I'm here to discuss with you today a little bit about our fees, scholarships, funding, and visas. So this presentation is going to cover a number of different topics, and I hope that you'll find it really helpful and really useful. I'm by no means a visa expert, but if you do have questions throughout the course of the presentation, please do pop them into the chat function or into the Q&A. I'll be sure to get to these at the very end of the session, but feel free to pop those into the Q&A or into the chat function just throughout the presentation. If I don't know the answer to any of your questions, I will make sure I get your details and I will find the answer and come back to you by email in the next couple of days. So let's get started with our session this afternoon. So when you come to university in Scotland, you could now be one of three fee categories. So we've got three fee categories within Scotland. The fee category first is Scottish students. So our Scottish students get free tuition fees. This is paid for by the Scottish government. It's around about £1,820, but this is paid for by the Scottish government through SAS. So SAS is the Student Awards Agency for Scotland. We have what we call the rest of the UK. So this covers our students in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. These students will pay £9,250 per year. The majority of these students will be able to access a tuition fee loan from a UK governing body. So within the UK, that would be Student Finance England, Student Finance Northern Ireland or Student Finance Wales. Then we have our EU and international students. So our EU students are now classified as international for fee paying purposes. So all our EU students who are EU domiciled generally will now fall into the international fee category. Within the international fee bands, we have two main fee bands. For our class-based courses, the cost per year is at £15,800 per year. For a lab-based course, this is mainly a science-based course or anything that requires lab facilities. It's £18,900 per year. So most of our EU students will now be classified as international. However, we may have some EU students that may fall into our UK or Scottish students. And we're going to look at what the criteria is for that in a little minute. We know that it can be a really confusing thing. The average monthly cost for living in Stirling is £797 per month. This will vary from person to person. This depends on what social activities you like to be involved with, how much you like to go out and do some shopping, the types of foods and supermarkets that you purchase food from. So this is something that you need to take with what we say a pinch of salt, and you may need to kind of do a budget for yourselves to look at how close this is actually. But from our average student, and this is including our living costs, your social costs, travel to and from university, it's around about £797 per month. Stirling was actually named the UK's most affordable city 5 years in a row, and that's through the Lloyds Bank Affordable Cities Review. So we've had that title 5 years in a row. So in terms of city centre life, social living and accommodation, it is one of the most affordable cities within the UK. What we would always recommend that you do, though, is to maybe do your own budget. It's never too early to start making your own budget. Start to look at what living costs you may what living costs you may have, and you can use the university website to do that. We have all of our accommodation costs for all the different types of accommodation on our website, and we show you what's included with that, what's included in that cost. So things like Wi-Fi and some basic insurance is included in that as well. But it's important to start to think about, if you live in the city centre, then you would have to factor in travel costs. If you want to travel home during the semester, that might be something that you want to factor into your cost as well. A trip back, how much does this cost? Depending on what kind of social activities you like to do or clubs or societies you want to join, it's never too early to start that that budgeting exercise. And that's something that you can be doing now, and using our different websites for shopping to understand what typically things cost for food in the UK. And you can use some of our supermarket websites in order to help you to do that. So, looking on about how you would fund your time with us at the university, we have a fantastic EU scholarship. So, this is an EU undergraduate scholarship, and this has been confirmed for students joining us in 2022, 2022, 2023. So, this scholarship is to the value of £5,000 fee discount per year, and that's for years 1 to 3, plus a scholarship covering the full cost of tuition fees in your final year, and that's your honours year. So here in Scotland, our degrees are 4 years. So that final year, your full cost of tuition fees would be covered, and within the first 3 years, you would get a £5,000 discount. This is to the value of about a £30,000 scholarship. So this will really go a long way in helping you to fund your tuition fees and make it that little bit more affordable. In terms of the entrance criteria, or the criteria for receiving the scholarship, you need to be an EU domiciled student living within the EU, in an EU country, and you need to be international for fee paying purposes. So if you do fall into the Scottish or UK fee status, you wouldn't be eligible. It's only for those students who have an international for fee paying purposes. There is no application for applying for this scholarship. All our students who are eligible will receive this scholarship automatically, and there's no limited number available. If you are eligible, every student who is eligible for it will receive this scholarship. So we hope that this will help to ease that financial cost of coming to university. There's lots of other ways of funding your time at university too, whether that's contributing to tuition fee costs, or whether that is helping to support yourself while at university. There are many government schemes, and this could be within your home country. You may be able to find some private sponsorship. There's lots of trusts and charities available, and that's something that you would need to do a lot of research into. We would suggest that you get onto Google and start researching. Why don't you speak to schools? You could speak to students who have come to university before you, speak to careers advisors and high school counsellors. There's lots of information on UK governing bodies' websites as well. So, for example, you could visit the UK SISIC website that has lots of really helpful hints and tips on funding your time at university while studying in the UK. Lots of our students will apply for part time work, and this is a great way to get a little bit of extra income while studying at the university. Here at Sterling, we have a range of options for you to in terms of employment opportunities. At the university, you can do things like work within the students' union. You could work within the sports centre. There's lots of opportunities at some of the cafes and restaurants on campus. We also have our student ambassador scheme. Our student ambassadors are students who work for us at open days, give campus tours, and they get involved with some of our recruitment events, both in country and virtual events as well, and they get paid really well to do this. This is a great opportunity as it helps to build a lot of skills on your CV, but it also, you can do it on an ad hoc basis. So you can do it as and when it suits you to do it. Within the city centre of Stirling, there's lots of opportunities for part-time work as well. So that's cafe cultures, retail, restaurants, lots of different opportunities to get a part-time job. We would just remind you that if you were looking for part-time work and you're on a student visa, and we'll go on to look at the student visa shortly. If you're on a student visa, then there are a limited number of hours that you can work per week. On the student visa, you can work up to 20 hours per week during term time. So no more than 20 hours per week during term time when you're in classes. Outside of term time, you can work full time. So during this holidays, during semester breaks, or before your course starts, or when your course finishes, you can work full time hours. So it is worth bearing in mind that there are those restrictions when you are thinking about a part time job. We would always say 20 hours is more than enough alongside your studies anyway, in order to give you enough time to do independent study. So we did mention at the start that there may be students who would be eligible for tuition fee support. So you may be able to apply to one of the UK governing bodies. So either SAS, the Student Awards Agency for Scotland, or Student Finance England, Wales, or Northern Ireland for tuition fee support, or even a maintenance loan or grant. So there are very strict criteria for applying for this, and it is important that you meet all of the criteria and do that little bit of extra research as well. So just to give you some examples, are EU nationals who have pre-settled or settled status within the UK. So you would have had to have applied for pre-settled or settled status by the 30th of June this year. If you do have pre-settled or settled status, you may be eligible to apply to SAS, which provides the tuition fee loans and grants within Scotland. If you are an EU national with the pre-settled or settled status, if you've been ordinarily resident in the UK for 3 years prior to the start of your course, this could be historic, time spent historically within the UK, but you must be ordinarily resident in Scotland on the start at the start of the course date. So by the time the course starts, you must be living in Scotland, and it can't be ordinarily resident means you can't be here just for academic purposes. You would have to be ordinarily resident, and there's lots of information on the government websites that can help to clarify ordinarily resident. If you were an EU national with pre-settled or settled status, living in the UK prior to the 31st of December, or maybe have lived within the EEA or Switzerland for 3 years prior to the course start date, and again, ordinarily resident in the UK, you would be entitled to fee support only, which means that you would be entitled to get a tuition fee loan but not apply for the living cost loan. The living cost loan is a maintenance loan which helps to support you with your living costs, accommodation, etc. If we have any UK nationals living in the EU who maybe have lived within the UK at some point within their lives and are now returning to Scotland before so they are returners, then you may be entitled to home fee status, which means that you're entitled to that tuition fee grant, and you may be able to apply for a living cost loan. There is a number of criteria that you need to meet on the screen. So you must be a UK national and be settled in the UK, and you must have been ordinarily resident for at least 3 years, and then must have lived within the EU, and you must be settled in the UK and ordinarily resident by the start of the course. That ordinarily resident is an incredibly important criteria, and like I said, there's more information on the website. We may have some some UK nationals who maybe have never actually lived within the UK, so are UK nationals by birth. These students, we would say, would have an RUK fee status, so rest of UK, and would be paying 9250 per year. This is a tuition fee loan that they can apply to from SAS. And there are a number of criteria on the screen that they must meet, and they must meet all of this criteria. Each one of these points they must meet. There are a number of exceptions for our dual nationals. So students may have a dual nationality, UK and EU. There are some students that may be entitled to home fee status, so you would be able to receive a tuition fee grant. You may be able to receive a living cost loan as well, and some may actually have to look to some of the other governing bodies. So we'd need to apply to Student Finance England, Student Finance Northern Ireland, or Student Finance Wales. So that would be our dual nationals who maybe have lived in the rest of the UK. So maybe have lived in Wales, Northern Ireland, or England. And in this situation, you would apply to the relevant governing funding body within that country. We know that that is all very confusing and can be a very confusing set of criteria. If you do have any questions about any of those criteria or think that you may be eligible to apply for some of this funding, we would encourage you to get in touch with our teams here at the university. We have a fantastic immigration team. Our admissions team will be able to advise you of your fee status, and our recruitment team will be able to provide a range of advice and support as well. If you're not sure what your fee status is, our admissions team can issue you a fee status questionnaire. This is something that they would give you and that you would complete. Once you would complete this and return it, our admissions team would use this information to determine your fee status. Often it is down to the domicile, and a lot of the criteria is based on the domicile where you have lived and where you are currently living. So that is something to bear in mind. Just moving on now to the visa requirements. We've talked a lot about pre-settled and settled status within the UK. So what exactly does this mean? Settled status means that you would be eligible to live in the UK. If you've been in the UK and living in the UK before the 31st of December 2020, and you've lived there for a continuous 5-year period, you would be eligible for settled status. And this means that you would get a number of rights as being part of the UK. If you haven't quite met that 5-year period, you may be eligible for pre-settle status. Again, you would have had to have applied for this by June of this year. Once you have hit the 5-year mark, your pre-settle status would then move into settled status. Students who have settled status or pre-settled status have a number of rights within the UK, the same as a UK citizen. So, for example, they can work within the UK, and again, there would be no restrictions on number of hours worked if you have pre-settled or settled status. Those with this status would also have full use of the NHS for free, so full access to our NHS services for free. They can enrol in education and study within the UK and may be eligible to apply for the student finance to SAS, as we've just explained in some of the slides. You may be eligible to apply for a tuition fee grant and a maintenance loan. You would have access to public funds such as benefits and pensions, and you would be able to travel in and out of the UK without needing a visa. There's lots more information on the Scottish Government website, www.gov.uk, and the UK Government website to tell you about what settled status will entitle you to. But these are some of the most important ones and ones that would be applicable to our EU students. So, for those students who do not have pre-settled or settled status or do not have a UK passport or right to remain in the UK, would need to apply for a visa, and this is the student route visa. This was previously the Tier 4 visa, and all our EU students would now need to apply for this, just the same as our international students. The application is made through the Home Office, which is the UK VI, and it's an online application form. It's an application form that you can come back to. You don't have to complete this in one sitting. For shorter courses, so if you're only coming for a semester and not an entire degree, then there may be other visas that you can apply to. But for the purposes of this webinar today, we're just considering the student visa. So that's for anyone who is studying more than 6 months at a UK university. There's so much information and advice from our universities itself. Like I say, we have a fantastic immigration team that can talk you through and walk you through this process. They are well equipped and well versed in preparing students for this and will have answered every question that you may have. So if you do have questions about this, we would encourage you to get in touch with us and get in touch with our immigration team really good and early to give yourself enough time. We would encourage you to have a look at the UK CISA website. There's so much information on there as well. So the student visa is a points-based system where students will accrue different points in order to be able to be eligible to apply for this visa. So the points are based on 50 points for a student having an unconditional offer at a university. So this means that you must have met all the conditions of your offer at a university. So you'd have to have that unconditional offer, and that's worth 50 points. You need to have a certain level of English competencies, so reading, writing, and listening skills within English. This generally is used or it can be proved by having something like an IELTS test, but we do accept a whole range of English language qualifications. Generally, the English language qualifications that you would need for access to a university would be sufficient to meet the visa application conditions, and all that information is on our website. So meeting the English language competencies is worth the 20 points. And then you need to prove that you can support yourself financially whilst at the university. So you need to show that you have the tuition fee costs and the living costs up to the value of around about £1,000 per month to support yourself whilst living in the UK. This has been set by the UKVI, so the Home Office within the UK, this fee, but you need to be able to prove that you have this finance in order to have to be eligible for the application, and that's worth 20 points as well. There is a cost for applying to the visa for the student visa. It's £348, and you would pay that at the end when you're submitting your visa application. So you're going to hear a lot of information about a CAS, and this is a really important aspect that you will need in order to apply for your student visa. The CAS stands for the Confirmation of Acceptance for Studies. So as an institution, the university will become your sponsor and will sponsor you for your visa application. In order to be able to apply for that, we would need to issue you with this CAS that would have all of the information that you will need for that student visa. It has all the information about your course, about the start date, about you as a student, and just confirms that we are happy to act as your sponsor for your student visa. The CAS will be a document, but you will also get a 14-digit alphanumeric reference number. And this is what you will use, and this is the reference number that you would use as part of your your visa application. We cannot issue you with a CAS for more than 6 months before the start date, but you can apply for that visa and get a CAS 6 months before your start date, but no earlier than that. So if you have met all the conditions of your offer, you can apply for that CAS, and then you can use that to apply for your student visa. Do remember though, you do have to have an unconditional offer. You can request a CAS through the university once you have met all the conditions of your offer. You don't need a letter or a PDF or a copy of this CAS. You only need that reference number, that 14-digit number that would need to be entered into your visa applications. In terms of of the dates that you can arrive and stay in the UK, the start date of your course will be on the CAS. That will have the date that your course starts. You can arrive in the UK 1 month before the course starts. So for example, if your course started on the 14th of September, that date would be on your CAS, but you could arrive in the UK 1 month before that, so up until the 14th of August. You may want to stay longer within the UK, but you would have to put the date that is on your CAS as your date of exit. That is the date that you need to put on that, even if you plan to stay a little bit after that. There are a number of documentations that you would need in order to be able to apply. You would need to have an original valid passport. You need to be able to provide financial evidence. Like we've discussed, this has to prove that you can cover the tuition fees and the living costs. The Home Office does have a cost of what that is, and it's around about £1,000 per month that you need to have in order to be able to support yourself financially month to month. You need to have certain academic qualifications, and this is generally the academic qualifications that the university will look for as entrance onto their programs. That tends to be on the website as well. And you need to be able to prove English language proficiency. And at the university, we accept a whole range of qualifications as well as the IELTS. All your documents must be accompanied by an official translation if it's not in English. So you must show us your original copies. But if it isn't in English, there will need to be a translation in English as well. Other than your passport, you can submit originals or copies, but your passport must be your original passport. You may have heard that about the immigration health surcharge. So this is a compulsory fee that you need to pay as part of your visa application, and it's compulsory for anyone coming to the UK for more than 6 months. This gives you full access to our NHS services within the UK, so full access for free. It's £470 per year, but this all needs to be paid up front. And you would just pay this online as part of that visa application. So, as part of your visa application, you will need to prove your identity. And you would do this in one of two ways, and this depends on where you're from, and it also depends on the type of passport that you have. This can get quite complicated, so it's not something that you need to worry about until you're almost at the point of completing your visa application. You may be asked to provide photographic information or provide fingerprints, and this would be at a visa application centre within your country. You would be asked to book an appointment and go there to do this in person, and it's called biometric information. If you have a certain type of passport, then you can use an ID check app to scan your identity documents. So it means that you don't have to do that in-person check. That can be done using an ID check app. When you are applying for your visa, you'll be told which one you have to do, and if appropriate, and if you do need to book an appointment with the visa application centre, you will be prompted to do this and receive very specific instructions about how to do this as well. I just want to give you a quick step-by-step guide on what you need to think about when from application process right through to enrolling with us as a student, and the time frames and the order in which you do everything. So you would apply for university. Generally, you'll apply by January if you would like to start in this September. So, for example, if you're applying for September 2022, we would encourage you to put in your UCAS application by the deadline of the 26th of January 2022. You'll begin to get offers from the institutions that you've applied to. Once you have all 5 of your offers that you can make through UCAS, you would then be asked to make a firm or an insurance. So take 5 offers and narrow it down to a firm offer, which is your first choice, and an insurance, which is your second choice. Once you receive your exam results, then if you've met the conditions of your offer, you would be given an unconditional place on a course. So after you've received your exam results, you would send these into the institution that you hold your first choice or your firm offer with, and they would confirm that your offer is unconditional. Once your offer is unconditional, you will be prompted to pay a deposit. This is usually around £2,000. Once we have received this deposit, then we can issue you with your CAS, and this is all of the information that you will need to apply for your student visa. Once you have your CAS, you can apply for the student visa, and you'll be prompted to prove your identity as we've just discussed. This may be in person through a visa application centre or through an app. Then you'll hopefully receive your visa confirmation. This can take up to around about 14 days, so 14 working days. So we just encourage you to make sure that leave enough time to do this application, as it can take 14 working days to receive your confirmation. Once you have your confirmation, please provide this with the university. So provide the the university that you hold that offer with final confirmation of your visa, and tell us about your travel plans as well, so we know when to expect you in the country. This is information that we need to have, and we need to know, and we need to confirm that you're in the country in order to know that meet UKVI criteria as well. So as your sponsor, then it is important that we have this information. So do make sure that once you have that visa confirmation and you've booked your travel to come to the UK, that you provide the university with this information. So I hope this little step-by-step guide helps to clarify the order in which you need to do and take all of these steps. Like I say, we are here to support you through this. We know that this is something which is quite new to a lot of students. It's not something that many of our students will have had to have done before who are joining us from the EU. And we know that you may have lots of questions and concerns about it, or things may be a little confusing. We are more than happy to support you, and it's my job to support you through this application journey right through to enrolment. We would love to keep in touch with you, and you can. My contact details are on the screen if anyone would like to take a copy of that. If you don't have any questions today, but you think of any questions in the next few days, then please do get in touch with me at any point. Our next virtual open day is this Saturday, so the 23rd of October, and we would love to be able to chat to you a little bit more about what the University of Stirling has to offer. This is a great chance for you to chat to our course directors, chat to students on the course, as well as chatting with a lot of our professional services staff, so accommodation, admissions, recruitment, student support, and the Students' Union as well. It is a virtual open day, so you don't have to be here in person. And the link for registering for the open day is on the in the chat function just there. I have just put the link for registering for our open day. If anyone would like to visit the UK and visit Stirling in particular, we are taking regular campus tours daily. Our student ambassadors are taking campus tours, 2 or 3 different options every single day. If you are travelling to Scotland and are booking in for a campus tour, please do get in touch with me. I would be more than happy to arrange a meeting with you afterwards where we can discuss any questions that you might have. That is it for me. I hope this has been really useful, and I hope it hasn't been too confusing. If there are any questions, then do pop these into the chat function, and we would be more than happy to answer them. I'm going to pop myself on mute and just keep an eye out for some questions for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll close this session.